First, I'm just going to read the problem. You left Phoenix at 3 p.m., so that's your initial amount. After 2 hours on the road, you have traveled 130 miles. After 3 hours on the road, you have traveled 195. Okay, let's make a little, come up here, and we're going to highlight this, and above it, I want you to write initial. And then we are going to create right now a little T-chart. But our T-chart is going to have 3 different columns. We're going to have distance, and above it I'm going to write miles. We're going to have time. We know time looks like this, right? We have hours and we have minutes. And then we're going to have amount, and that amount's going to be in terms of that T value. So to make more sense of this, we know at 3 o'clock you are leaving Phoenix. That means you haven't even pulled out of your driveway yet. You're in the car, you're ready to go. You have not even clocked 1 mile. You've gone a distance of 0. And this is our initial amount. Your initial amount is always T equals 0, regardless of the time. For every single problem, your initial amount for time is always T equals 0. In this case, you've traveled 0 miles. Okay, everything is now based on this being the initial amount. So, ready? 2 hours later. Well, what time would it be 2 hours later? 5 o'clock. And now T is 2 hours later. You've traveled 130 miles. 3 hours later, well, 3 plus 3 would be 6 o'clock p.m. You've gone 3 hours, and that is going to be on the road for 195. Now, when you write an ordered pair, it's going to be a T value followed by a distance. So I'm going to write 3 ordered pairs right now. So it's going to be 0, 0, 2, 130, and 3, 195. That's probably almost the toughest part of this problem. There's a lot more work, but understanding how to set that up is the difficult part. We're going to go to part A right now, and please underline create a linear model. You may be thinking like, okay, I've read that, but what does that mean again? So that means we're going to go y equals mx plus b. We're going to start by identifying the slope. And so we get to use any one of these. And I'm going to tell you, whenever you have 0, 0, I always select it because I want to be lazy. I want to get to the point. Let's get the answer. So one of my points is going to be 0, 0. And then you choose whether it's 2 and 130 or 3 and 195. Ultimately, you could choose any 2 of these points and you should get the same answer. So I'm going to do 2 and 130. This is my first point, so x sub 1, y sub 1. Second point, x sub 2, y sub 2. If you're like, do I need to show all of this work? You absolutely do for me to be able to give you your points on a test. Okay, here's how you find the slope of a line, of a linear line, is I'm now going to substitute in those values for x sub 2 and y sub 2. Another common question I get is, do y's always go on top? They do. Remember, it's rise over run. Okay, so y sub 2 is 130, y sub 1 is 0, x sub 2 is 2, x sub 1 is 0. Now, I don't care if you use a calculator now, so if you want to go, okay, what's 130 minus 0, or that's 130, what's 2 minus 0, that's 2, and then if you take your calculator and divide it, I don't care about that, but you showed me you understood the concept. This means on average between 0 to 3 hours on the road, you increase by 65 miles per hour on average. But that's just so you have an idea. Well, what else do I need to find? I figured out the m. Next, I need to figure out the b. So to do that, I'm writing y equals mx plus b. I get to substitute out that m. I've identified it as 65. And now I choose any one of these ordered pairs to plug in. What is the easiest one to plug in? 0, 0. So 0 goes in for x and 0 goes in for y. Why do I like that? Because I don't want to do the work. 0 times 65 is 0. B equals 0. I now have an m and a b, and I can write the equation as y equals 65x plus 0. All of that work is necessary, and that is going to be part A. That is going to be part A. Let's now look at part B. I'm going to flip this. Part B, what time will you arrive? So what is the time? This is really the key here. Can everybody underline this? What time? So we know time, we're going to have to figure out a t value, and then we're going to have to transition it back into time. So I'm going to write right here, we need to figure out a t value, and then we're going to have to go back into time. So here's going to be like my time. I'll have an hour and I'll have minutes. This is ultimately what I need for a final answer. What time will you arrive if the distance to Los Angeles would be 350 miles? So I'm going to come back over here just so we can keep kind of a running tally here. If we know that the distance is 350, we want to know these two parts. Well, distance is like my y value. My amount of time after 3 p.m. is my x value. If you didn't know that, this is like your y, this is like your x. So distance is y. Okay, here we go. 350 equals 65x plus 0. I replaced y, or the distance, with 350. Subtracting 0 does nothing. Grab that calculator, please. Yes, it's important you show all your steps. Yes, for AP exam, you'll get no credit if you don't have all your steps. That's why we practice it now. I'll tell you when you don't have to show all your steps. Grab that calculator and take 350 divided by 65, and do you guys get the exact same answer? Okay, now here's the deal. I'm going to round here, so I'm going to write 5.38. Okay, are you ready? I've got two kids, ages 7 and 9. And if I said to them at 5 o'clock, I said to them, all right, guys, in 2.25 hours, I need you to go to bed. Would they have any idea what I'm talking about? For the most part, would my kids know what I'm talking about? No, because we're going to translate that into time. We need to translate this. This right now is a t value. So can everybody write t equals 5.38? I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to write t equals 5.38. Well, what the heck does that mean? I need to translate it into time. This means 5 hours after. 5 hours after 3 o'clock will be the hour. So 3 plus 5 is 8. Okay, so put an 8 there. Now, I need to translate minutes. Sorry, I need to translate hours. This is a partial hour into minutes. So we're going to take 38 and divide it by 60 because there's 60 minutes in an hour. So let's go ahead and do that. 38 divided by 60. And we have, whoops, sorry. My fault. I wrote it down wrong. My fault. Take 0.38 times 60. Excuse me. 0.38 times 60. And we have approximately 23 minutes. So, what time will you arrive? You will be arriving at 8:23 p.m. 8:23 p.m. We are going to move on right now. Please highlight where it says, how many miles? Turn to your group. How many miles? Is that an X or is that a Y? Look at our table. Is that an X or a Y? That's a Y. That's a Y. So let's put Y equals. We don't know what Y is. And says you will travel until 8 p.m. So this is like our X equals 8 o'clock, right? But I got to translate it back into a t value. So I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to extend this right now because it's getting a little sloppy. So I'm going to extend this. Remember, 3 o'clock was t equals 0, and now I'm saying 8 o'clock. Bless you. What is going to be the t value at 8 o'clock? Anybody know? From 3 p.m. to exactly 8 p.m. is a difference of what? 5. So we want to know at when t equals 5, what is the distance? And you're going, well, what do I do? This is my equation. So I get to plug 5 into this equation. So what would I do if I were you and I was the student? I would write this down like this, because that shows me you understand it. You're not copying. Then I would grab my calculator and go 65 times 5. We know adding 0 does nothing to it, and it's y equals 325. Y equals 325. Now, your y value, again, is distance. So when I write 325 down, I need to put down that units of miles. We're going to practice more of these right now, just for the sake of practice. So you ready? What if I said to you, 7:12 p.m.? I want to know how many miles have you traveled at 7:12 p.m. I'm going to do 2, and then I want you to try the next one. Please just watch this first one. 7:12. So the first thing I have to do is I have to identify what is my t. So I think to myself, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. is a difference of, tell me, 4. Now I have this leftover minutes because it's not exactly at 8, or it's not exactly at 7. I have leftover. How many minutes are there in an hour? There are 60. Grab your calculator. We're going to put this into a decimal form. 4 plus 12 divided by 60. That's now my t value. So I could come over here, and if this was the question, I would take 4.2 times 65. And at 7:12 p.m., we can assume that you have traveled 273 miles. Let's try another one. What if I said to you at 5:48 p.m.? At 5:48 p.m. You ready? What is the difference in time? Because we have to translate it to a t. This is not in your packet. I just want you to have more practice. Okay, what is the difference in time so far, just in hours? 2 hours. Uh-oh, we got this leftover stuff. So 48 over 60. Why am I choosing 60? Because there are 60 minutes an hour. Okay, ready? Here we go. So 2 plus 48 divided by 60. Now, how would I do this if this was a test? Because I have to show that I understand. I would write it like this, and I would grab the calculator and I'd do the rest. 65 times 2.8. And at 5:48 p.m., you can assume you have traveled 182 miles. You're going to practice right now. I'm going to put on pause. For those that are watching the video, what I'm doing right now is I'm doing one final practice question. This is not in your packet. I just want to make sure you have plenty of practice. So I always go back to this initial time. 3 to 4 would be 1 hour difference. Oh, we got this remainder of 18 over 60. I'm grabbing my calculator, and I'm going to go 1 plus 18 divided by 60. If you see me make a mistake, let me know. And I'm going to take 65 times 1.3. I'm going to add 0 to it. I have a distance of 84.5 miles is what my estimation would be. Thumbs up or thumbs down right now if you feel comfortable with this. Okay, let's jump back here. How many miles? Okay, please highlight that. How many miles? It's essential you're highlighting this. That's a requirement now this year. How many miles? Is miles your X or your Y? So how many miles have you traveled at 8:24 p.m.? Okay, so I'm going to come back up here and write 8:24, and I'm going from 3 to 8. 3 to 8 is a difference of 5, and then I have plus 24 over 60. I'm plugging that in. I'm taking 65 times the number and adding 0. I have 351. Thumbs up or thumbs down, just to making sure we're agreeing here. 351. If I've lost you, I'm taking 65 times this 5.4 value that I came up with and adding it to 0.